I'm Marc Dresner, and this is Research TV, a special executive interview series bringing you the insight scoop from market research leaders and experts. Research TV is brought to you by the Market Research Event, the largest and most comprehensive conference in the world dedicated to elevating the business value of insights. Joining me today is Ruben Alcaraz. He is the Manager of Market Research and Consumer Insights for Meijer. Ruben, welcome to Research TV. Let's start with a little bit about an idea that you brought up when we last spoke about, and that was the idea of retail as a brand. More specifically, you have kind of an interesting take on new stores as brand extensions. Can you elaborate on that for our audience?
Sure. So I think to start, I should talk about, just to frame it up a little bit more, the concept of retail as a brand to me came because of my background. I started working with CPG manufacturers, and I saw that there were a lot of tools and ways of measuring when a new product was launched. Well, when I started working in retail, I started realizing there was a lot of research that was being done in terms of understanding where we're going to put the site, what we're going to do, and what happens, et cetera, et cetera. But the level of understanding and I guess a way of prediction and predicting success was somewhat different. So in terms of understanding retail as a brand, my idea was that you could probably take a lot of the learnings that we do when someone's going to launch a new brand and maybe apply those to the opening of a new store.
How can retail researchers think differently about new stores according to this philosophy? I mean, would conventional brand KPIs be sufficient here, or?
It's a bit of thinking differently, but it's mostly about taking the accepted ways of measuring results and applying it to retail. So for example, there are plenty of information or plenty of research that's available on when a new brand is going to be launched. You know, there's research about its name, the type of consumer that they're going to track, what the distribution is going to be, and there are a lot of syndicated analysis that's released in order to understand this by large companies. So for example, you got your CDI, BDI, which is category development indexes, brand development indexes, you got your trial and repeat, you got your heavy medium line analysis, you got your new loss retain analysis. And those are all tools that, or approaches that work for brands. Now, again, based on the way I'm thinking about it, I would love to see the same type of analysis being used on what happens to a retailer. So for example, what type of customers we're attracting, where are we shifting customers away from, how developed is this market for this particular retailer, et cetera, et cetera.
Are there any, do you have any thoughts for manufacturers and retail providers along those lines on how they can really help you ramp up what you're trying to do when you open a new store?
Yeah, and I haven't come across that many manufacturers that are thinking about it that way. Just to go back a little bit, I see a lot more similarities than I see differences. So for example, when a new brand is created, I mean, its goal is to establish, to reach maybe a new consumer base, expand the distribution, and enhance the profitability for the whole portfolio. Well, for the retailer, it's basically the same idea. When you open a new store, you expand your distribution, you're going to talk to or you're going to serve a different type of customer or consumer, hopefully, and you are looking to enhance the profitability for the entire brand. Now, to me, it's interesting that, again, we're not necessarily all the time trying to leverage our manufacturer partners to get some of the level of expertise and learnings that they have, not just from a manufacturing standpoint, but also from the from the syndicated data providers like the Nielsen's, MPDs of the world. I think they can be very helpful in helping us get there too.
I think that you've given us some very good guidance, particularly for manufacturers and their research partners, on how to start thinking about stores as extensions of a brand. And on that note, I want to thank you very much, Ruben, for joining us today on Research TV.
My pleasure.
And that concludes this episode of Research TV. I'm Marc Dresner, and you've just heard the Insight Scoop.